Hello, and welcome to the Studio Nora Podcast. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Nora. I'm from Amsterdam, and I knit, sew, I sell project bags on Etsy, and I just like anything that's slightly creative. If you're back here, or if you've been here before, welcome back. I don't know if you remember me because there was an accidental summer stop. I think my last podcast was in June, maybe, end of May. And lots has happened since then. And some of it I'm going to tell you. And not a lot has been happening creativity-wise, or especially knitting-wise. The first big thing that happened is that I didn't lose. I had a haircut and we cut off about 40 centimeters because it was almost all the way down my back, and I just fancied a big change because of other big changes. So yeah, I had a haircut. I really like it, especially because this summer has been really, really warm. For Dutch standards, it was in the high 30 degrees. So that's in Fahrenheit, I think that's like 90s. And that might not be very warm for other countries, but our houses are not built, or our cities are not even built to withstand such heat. So it was a summer of lots of calm activities, naps, and books. Yeah. So first big change is my hair. The other big change is that I'm actually expecting a little baby in January, which I'm really, really excited about. We're trying to get pregnant for a little bit, and the chances were not very high because of my hormonal situation. So when it happened, I was really happy, but also when it happened, I lost all my appetite. I was really nauseous. I lost a fair bit of weight, and right now I'm in week 22 of 40, so I'm past that midway point, and I'm starting to get my appetite back, and I'm starting to feel good again, so that's really nice. But this whole summer was just basically spent taking naps and feeling a bit miserable, and then it was also really warm, so yeah. Also, as it turns out, in the first 3 months of my pregnancy, I couldn't knit or sew or do anything that required paying attention to like a small thing, because it made me running to the toilet. So I haven't done a lot of knitting, and I just recently started it back up again. I haven't done a lot of sewing, except for 2 really big projects. And I haven't really been doing much of anything, because pregnancy is wonderful, but it also comes with some challenges, which I was not prepared for. But the last thing I'll say is I was very focused on getting pregnant and how to do that and how to take care of myself and how to be healthy, but I didn't really consider being pregnant. Yeah, so it is an interesting experience. And since 3 weeks, our little boy is kicking a lot, which is really fun. It's not so fun when you're in the car and he hits your bladder, I can tell you that. But otherwise, it's really fun to have him just kind of like speak up and let his presence be known. It's also really weird because there's a living human inside of me, attached to me, and it's a miracle, but it's also really weird and strange, and also it's like it's not my body anymore, I'm sharing it, and that's very weird. Okay, so let's do. So I actually have a couple of finished objects. None of them have to do with knitting, but I do have to do with sewing. I have some works in progress, and yesterday I went to a little, well, it's not a festival, it was like a market, and it's the theme was, it's called Tegendraads, and kind of like the slogan was from sheep to yarn, and anything from raw wool until finished objects were for sale, and it was really nice. I went with two of my friends, and I bought some yarn as well, and I have many plans now that I feel back up to being able to knit without running to the toilet every 3 seconds. So yeah, let's do finished objects first. So as you might remember, if you watched my previous episode, my aunt came to visit for the summer from Uruguay, and it was really nice. It was really good to see her. It was also really nice to be able to tell her that I'm pregnant, because I haven't seen her in almost 3 years. I went to Uruguay February 2020, and I remember when I came back, I just went for the week because we have a week off in February from school. And I remember flying back and I saw all these people with masks, and I thought, aren't you overreacting a little bit? It's all the way in China, and then 3 weeks later they shut down basically the world. So that's the last time I saw her. So it was really good to see her, and I promised to make her a Shelby dress when I last visited, which I did. I did it in the last week that she was here because I was so nauseous and feeling bad that I couldn't get myself to sew it up. But I did sew it up, and she took it home. So I don't have, I can't show it here, but I can show some pictures. And it looked really good on her. I was very happy with the fit. I added some like corset ties in the back. So originally the dress only has 2 ties in the back to cinch it in, but I added several loops in the back seams. There's 2 back seams. There's a middle panel, and then in the seams beside that I added some loops so I can make like a little corset tie, because it just makes it easier to fit a dress, I think, and that worked out. The only thing that I would change, I don't know if you can see it in the pictures, but I placed the buttons and the buttonholes a little bit too far from the edge, so it doesn't necessarily gape. But I think it would have been neater if the buttons were a little bit more towards the edge. But other than that, I think it's some of the best sewing I've done yet. It fits her really well, and she was really happy with it. And that's the most important thing, I think. So that was my first big finished object. Of course, I made it in the last 3 days that she was in the Netherlands. And hemming that monstrosity, well, it's not a monstrosity, but if you have to hem 3 meters of hem really quickly in finicky viscose, it's not fun, but it worked. The other thing that I finished is sort of baby related, because you might remember that I made a nappy bag or a diaper bag for a dear friend of mine a couple months ago when she had her baby, or before she had her baby, and it was the Explorer Tote by Noodlehead, and I really liked it, but we plan to do a lot of baby wearing because we live on a 2nd floor in an old building in Amsterdam, so I'm not going to be carrying up a stroller up and down the stairs every day, so we just have one of those, I don't know, we got it from my brother, it's Ergo Baby, the carrier thing. So I thought it was good to have a nappy or diaper backpack. So that's what I made. This is the pattern. It's called, it's the Range backpack, also by Noodlehead. And this is the finished objects. You might be able to tell that the bottom is blocked. It has a checkered. The bottom is checkered, and the outside is made from waxed cotton that I got from Ansje. I will also link all the stuff that I talk about down below with links if I can. And then the contrast is this fun bike cotton. I added interfacing and a little bit of quilting batting into the straps, so they're slightly fluffy. Not fluffy, but like they're not very hard, which I think will be nice. I made some alterations. First, I just added a little clip to the front instead of the D-ring thing, because I think this will just be quicker. This is the inside with the fun bike pattern. It's gonna be a Dutch baby, so he's gonna spend a lot of time on bikes, I guess. And then on the sides, the biggest alteration that I made is I added two bottle pockets, you could call them, I guess. I messed it up the first time because I tried to do maths, but it didn't work out because I forgot to add quite a bit of seam allowance. So when I first made it up, I finished the whole thing, and then the side, so this is the side, and now it's 10 centimeters, so that's 4.5 inches. It's 10 centimeters, but when I finished it the first time, this was only 5 centimeters, and that did not hold a bottle or anything at all. So I finished the whole thing. Like, I inserted the lining, I did all the top stitching, and then I figured out that it was too narrow, and then I lived with it for 2 days, and then I went back, ripped the whole thing apart again because I couldn't live with it, and I didn't want to make another one and use this for something else. So I ripped the whole thing out again, recut the sides, made some improvements on the folding on the bottom, and now I'm really happy with it. It has a pocket here in front, and in the inside I added, let's see if I can show you. I really like bag making because you're not battling with huge amounts of fabric, but it is slightly complicated and you need to use your head, and it's really fun to think in a way more. If you make clothing, it's also in 3D, right? Because your body is in 3D, but this is way more structural, and I really like that. So inside there's, let's see, I can fold it more. There's two pockets on the inside. There's this big, well, you can't really see, you have to believe me. There's a big pocket here, and I added a little magnet snap to it because for the pockets for my friend's bag, they always stood open. So I thought just add a magnetic snap and that's fine. And then also on the other side there's a little welt pocket zipper that I thought would be handy for if you need some loose change or keys securely inside. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. If it doesn't work out as a nappy bag because we need more room or whatever, I would be happy to use this as my school bag or work bag. You might know that I am a middle and high school teacher. So when I talk about school, I mean work, but you know. So I'm really happy with it. So it's a range backpack by Noodlehead. I add a little Kylie and the Machine labels that say handmade with a little hand. And I'm very pleased. Yeah. So that's my second big finished object. Other than that, I did say this wasn't gonna be a baby episode, but I've just been making stuff for baby. So I'm very sorry if you're not interested in babies. I'm not that interested in babies really. Like, I'm interested in my baby and the concept of having my own baby, but other people's babies, they're also interesting. But if I get to choose between a baby picture and a puppy picture, I still go for the puppy picture, if you get what I mean. I also had some scraps from baby capes that I make and sell on Etsy. So I made a little little shirt. I have no idea when this will fit baby because I have no concept of how big babies are. My nephew is 2 and I've known him all his life, but it's a different experience when you're just, you know, auntie instead of responsible for making him wear clothing that fits. So I made this from scraps and it has tiger background. And I also made, what do you call this? Double gauze. We have like a list of stuff we need to have in a house for when baby comes, and it said washcloths. And I had this blue double gauze still lying around, so I thought I'm not going to buy those. I'll just make like a bunch. And apparently there's a difference between double gauze washcloths and double gauze mouth cloths, and I just decided that cloth is cloth, and there's like 8 here and they can double. Any experienced people with children out there who can tell me if that assumption is correct? I don't know. I know nothing about babies. So yeah, I made that. And that's all the progress or all the finished objects I have. Let's take a sip. Then, works in progress. So I started this baby sweater when we just found out I was pregnant. And then I couldn't knit anymore because I was pregnant. But it's really cute. It's this little sweater. It's the Anders sweater. And I'm not sure who the designer is, but it'll be here on the screen. And it's the first time I made a button band with buttonholes in them, and it's not as difficult as I thought. So that's really nice. I get out of breath so much quicker now. The body went really quickly when I was able to knit again, but the sleeve is just so tiny and I'm doing it magic loop. But I find like the tiny circumference just really annoying, and like every, I think 20 stitches I have to switch like the magic loop around. So it's not going very fast, but I have a lot of time because it's September now and baby's due in January and who knows when it'll fit. So that's my first work in progress. Also, by the way, thank you for all the people who reached out to me. I got some lovely messages through Instagram, people congratulating me, but also just people checking in where I've been, because I really dropped out of all like social media interactions because I was just sleeping. I slept like 14 to 16 hours a day. That's what I did. And I got some messages through Etsy, and it was just really nice. And yeah, so thank you for being here and thinking of me. There we go. Oh, I forgot a finished object. When I absolutely couldn't knit or sew, I did need something to do with my hands other than just scrolling through social media, because that didn't actually make me happy, but I couldn't focus on anything else. Audiobooks were difficult. Reading was not an option, but what I did find is that embroidery was an option. I still need to figure out how to like do the thing in the back where it's neat, but I made this little bumblebee. I don't know a lot about embroidery. I once took like a workshop of an hour where we learned like chain stitch and French knots, and that was basically it, I think. So I inherited a lot of embroidery thread through my mom's, like, you know, there's always like in somebody's house, there's like this little box with embroidery threads from someone's grandmother. I inherited that and I added a lot of colors to it. And I made this little bee, and I'm particularly proud of the wings. I think the wings are really cool. And we'll either hang it in above the changing table, because we're not going to have a nursery. Well, there will be a changing table, but it's not going to get its own room yet. And it was really nice, and it's really easy to just do a few stitches of embroidery and then put it down again. So yeah, I really like it. So I unlocked another hobby because then I needed a new embroidery project, and I sort of designed this myself. So I don't know anything about embroidery, and I don't know if this is the way to like fill up space, but I am making this little like seascape. And I think it's not the neatest, like it's not gonna stand the test of time and hang in a museum in 200 years, but I think it's really cool. And I'm quite happy with it. There's all these different shades of blue, and I love me some blue. So this is just what I work on when I sit down with my husband to watch a show or something, and then I just stitch away. I do have to be careful that I don't stab him with the needle. I haven't done so ever, but he's very afraid that, excuse me, that when I like pull the thread out and the needle goes here, that it goes into him. It hasn't done so yet, but who knows? If he's very annoying, I might slip. No, I would never do that. Then, yesterday, we went, me and my two friends, we went to this market that I already told you about. I forgot to take any footage. It was really cool because there were like spinners and weavers, and there were women in traditional Dutch clothing that they made themselves, and there was a lot of yarn and hand dyers, and there were people who were, what do you call it, felt, when they take raw wool and they stab it with a needle a bunch of times, and then they make these little creatures. It was really cool, and I really want to do that too, but I don't think now is the time to add another yarn related, well, it's not a hobby. I think all yarn related hobbies are like one thing, but maybe not add like felting right this minute. We'll see. But I picked up several things, and one of the things was this yarn, and I forgot to bring the label, but I started it yesterday evening, and look how far I am. So it's like color blocked. It changes color itself. I'm just making a vanilla sock. I have 2x2 rib at the top, and I'm doing, I couldn't find my 2.5 mil needles, so I got 2.75 millimeter needles, and I just went down a couple stitches. So usually I do 64 stitches for socks, and I just went down to 60 because needle size is bigger and then 4 stitches less in it. Yeah, they're socks, it's fine. I do know that it's wool, 70% wool, 20% polyamide, and 10% yak, and it's really nice and soft. And I don't really like pink, but I think in this combination it's looking good. I don't really have a plan. I just think I'll do like a couple blocks of color and then do a heel. I usually do a heel flap and gusset, and we'll see how they work out. I'm not sure if I want the two socks to match completely, so start again with the gray, or if I want them to sort of match. We'll see. You might also be wondering that the last episode I talked about all the works in progress and that I didn't have any knitting mojo left. Well, we now know why I didn't have any knitting mojo, but I've just decided to stuff all the works in progress upstairs in my studio, and ignore them for now, and I'm fine with that. And when I find the inspiration, I'll come back to them. and if I don't, they're just gonna live there until I frog them, I think. So this is also a sneaky acquisition, but also a work in progress. You might be able to tell that chaos is still reigning in this podcast. I have not become more coherent. I can also especially tell because school started up again, and because I will go on maternity leave in November, I can't teach any graduating classes, which I usually do. So I have 3, which grade is it? They're 14 years old, so that would be grade 9, end of middle school. We have a different system in the Netherlands. Anyways, they are 14-year-olds, and they don't really vibe with you have to be quite strict. If you lose your attention and go off scatterbrained into a rant, they'll just start doing something else. And with my other classes, they're like the older kids, they also, when they know me for a while, it works really well. But I really have to be on the ball with these kids. And there's 3 classes of them. And it's hard work. We just did the first week, and I fell asleep on the couch every afternoon after classes. It's hard work. And it'll get better, and I'm getting my energy back, but still, it's a thing. So before we go into acquisitions, I would like to share a plan with you, because this wouldn't be a Studio Nora podcast without mentioning Studio Solas, which is one of my favorite natural dye studios. It's Vera. She lives in the Netherlands as well, and she naturally dyes yarn, and she's really conscious about the sustainability and the footprint of her yarns. And I got this green merino DK from her, I think last year. It is, I think this is dyed with, on the other one there's a label with what it's dyed with. I forgot. But it's a lovely shade of green. And I'm thinking of making a no frills sweater, because I found also with the sock that I really enjoy just stockinette in the round. And I think the no frill sweater is tried and tested by many people, and I've never yet made one, but I think I'll make one with this yarn. It also smells, I don't know what she does to get it to smell this good, but all her yarns smell lovely. Check her out. I think there's like 1 or 2 advent boxes left from her. I got one last year and it was really good, really fun, beautiful products. So if you're in the market for one, go check it out. That leads us to acquisitions that I all got yesterday. I wasn't gonna buy any yarn, but then I did, because you know how markets work. There's a little bit of wrinkling. I'll just dump it all out and then I can show you. Okay, we'll start at the last acquisition. So I got myself some new needles. They're Lana Grossa Natural needles in this lovely cardboard case. And they're just some wooden needles with 2 cables and cable connectors, etc. I mostly got these because I sat on my 3.5 mil needles and they broke. So I needed new needles, and then I saw this case and I thought, why not? So I got this. Then I got 3 skeins of this organic wool linen. Let me show you them all together. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? They are from Bad Katu Yarn. She is, I actually met Dyer because she was behind the stable? No. Stand. She was behind the stand. And she acid dyes all these yarns herself. And this one is 70% organic wool and 30% cotton. And I think I got 3 of the same color, right? F012, 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 yes. But for some reason 2 are called cyan and the other is cadet blue, but they all have the same dye lot. So back on track. I was thinking a summer shirt in this, just really easy. I think Petite Knit has a really easy tee. I don't know when I'll make it, but I think it'll be really nice. But the thing I'm most pleased with is this. Oh, just look at it. It's of course blue because everything I want is blue, but it's this beautiful yarn. It is actually like, look at the color variation in that. It's beautiful. So I got 2 because there were 2. If there would have been more, I would have gotten more. It's 100% superwash blue face Leicester tweed. It's 100 grams and 350 meters, so it's like sport weight-ish. I'm usually not very into superwash because you might remember the sweater disaster that was in superwash that I made for my husband, and it just stretched and stretched and stretched. But what I thought is I'll just make a shawl for myself, and I might not even do like a pattern. I think what I'll do is I'll start with 1 stitch and then let me tell you my thought process. I want it to be garter stitch because I don't want to do anything difficult. So I'll just start with a couple stitches, and then on the front I'll just add a stitch on the side, and then it'll like become a triangle wrap shawl thingy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if on the like side A I'll add stitches, and on side B I'll just knit, then it becomes like a triangle, right? And that way I can just knit until I don't have any yarn left, because it'll just become bigger and bigger, and then the last row you have to be careful that you have enough yarn left for that. At first I thought, oh, I'll start on the side and then like knit it like that, but then you have to weigh it constantly to know when you're halfway. So I'll just make a shawl, I think. And it's so nice. Especially like, I don't know if you saw, but there's like tweedy specks in it. It's like blues and greens and grays. Very excited for it. So I think I might even cast this on today. Shawls usually go very quickly. We'll see. We shall see. So that's really all I have to talk about. I did, for the first time in years, buy clothing because my belly will not tolerate anything tight. So first I tried to wear skirts, but just anything indenting my whole torso is just uncomfortable. So I got some clothes from a friend of mine who gifted me a bunch of baby clothes, but also had some maternity wear. So she gave me those. That was really nice. There's some shorts, and they have the elastic like stretchy bit that goes over your belly and your bump. In Dutch, maternity clothing is called positiekleding or position clothes, and it just sounds so horrible. And it's also, I don't want to buy clothing that I can only wear now and then not be able to wear it after the baby comes. Of course, I know your body doesn't just go back to normal, but just the whole term position clothing, yeah, no, it doesn't do it for me. But I did buy some. I bought some skinny jeans because they're my favorite thing to wear when it's not super hot. And now they're also comfortable again. And I bought some shirts that have some room for belly expansion without like showing half my belly to the public, because yeah, no. So yeah, but it was very strange because I haven't bought clothing really in years, because I make most of it myself, and I already, I have a closet full of clothing, and I'm really trying to minimize buying new things. But it's hard because finding maternity clothes online or secondhand is just, how do you know it fits? Also with baby clothes, we try to get everything secondhand because there's just, they're gonna use it for like a month or 5, and then they grow out of it, or you can't use it anymore, or they don't fit into the chair anymore, and it's like, what's the point of getting something new? We did get baby bed new because I tried to buy it secondhand, but I couldn't. So my grandmother gifted us some money, and we used that. I have to apologize to everyone who believed me when I said this wouldn't be a baby episode, because it obviously turned into one. But that's the thing, right? I don't want to... I'm looking forward to becoming a mother, or I guess I am a mother since somebody just kicked me, but I don't want only to be a mother, I don't want to lose the identity that I already have, if you get my drift. We'll see how that goes with like more hormones and stuff. I hope you have been doing well in my absence. I noticed that many podcasters kind of took a little summer break, but I do hope that you've had a good summer or winter if you're in the southern hemisphere. I don't think I have any people from the southern hemisphere, but you never know. I hope you had a good time while I was away, and I hope that you're excited that I'm back. I know I am, so that's enough. And let me know what you've been working on. Have you been knitting, or have you also dived into other... Have you dived into other like hobbies or pastimes? I know a lot of people who have a garden spend a lot more time in a garden in summer. I do wish I had a garden. But so yeah, let me know what you've been up to. I miss like the whole interaction in the comment section. It was always really fun. So I hope to, with your help, start that up again. And I hope in a couple of weeks that I have some knitting to show, because I'm really happy that I'm able to knit again, because I love it. And it's a really nice way to not spend time on social media, because it doesn't actually make me that happy all the time. Also, I'm a bit late in saying this, but if you struggle with getting pregnant or with having children in any way, feel free to just not watch this or any future videos, because you don't have to. And I know firsthand that it's quite hard to see other people getting pregnant left and right, and it not happening for you. So yeah, I think I'm going to clean up this pile of projects next to me and let you go. It's a bit of a shorter episode-ish. Well, we've been recording for 40 minutes, but I think I have to cut some of my rambling out because coherency is nice. And I hope to see you soon.